I'm just recording in case we say something profound, okay? So it's Jannah. Random yet riveting rambling. But so yesterday, I went to like a little shindig, or as Helene would call it, sheding.
What?
Yes.
Does he say it just like that?
Sheding. No, he says it like he thinks he's saying shindig, but he's saying sheding. So we went to a sheding yesterday, and I met this woman who was saying she's taking her shahada soon. But she had to get all of her like drinking and stuff out of the way now.
Okay.
I mean, hey, you got to get it out your system. But for her to be talking about it when I was there in that moment, and I had so many discussions already, like about how Islam impacted me, that I was like, man, I gotta say something to her.
That'd be interesting.
So
what did you say?
I said,
what type of environment was this?
It was at a cookout.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But like four people right here, social distance cookout.
I was trying to figure it out. I was going to say, okay, this sheding.
Right.
This sheding.
That's why I call it a sheding. So, but I told her, first I asked her if she believed that everything happened just as it should, like that, you meet people when you're supposed to meet them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, yeah, she was that type of person. I said, okay, well, good, because I have something profound to say.
Get your life right, get your mind right.
I told her how that I was raised both Muslim and Christian. I went to a Muslim school, but when I considered myself Muslim, I don't really consider myself a part of any dogmatic religion, because I told her that, I said, with you getting ready to take your shahada, I think that the main thing you should focus on is that you don't have to meet certain criteria or check certain boxes to communicate with your creator. I said that is the big thing that I thought that I had to do when I was trying to be a good Muslim.
But that's what Islam says, though.
Yes, it says and the only way that you can be Muslim is if you meet this certain criteria. So you're only following me, or you can only follow me under these circumstances. You can only talk to me if you are in this state. So,
I was going to say, yeah, down to your body,
right?
Down
because she was talking about that. She was talking about how you can't pray because you're on your period, or you can't fast
because you're drinking, or and because it is a true way of life. Like,
but it made me think more about that, though. Like, there is no state from which you should ever, like, no state you can ever be in for which you're prohibited from talking to your creator, or where you cannot talk to your creator.
But
that doesn't make sense to me.
Honestly, a part of the main reason that, like, because I struggle with that, Islam or Christianity, I struggled with it for a very long time. And a part of the reason why I made my transition from Islam to Christianity was, one, like, doing all those, like, you do all those activities for the duration of your life, and you don't know if you're going to get in heaven or not.
Right.
Like there's
yes.
never, like it's like, okay, there's this hidden report card. Okay, you didn't go down to surgery just right. You didn't get up early enough before the sun. It's like,
right,
it's like you never know they're going to get into
heaven.
Like, right. And which on the one hand, that was something that attracted me to it, to be quite honest.
Really?
It's not just a cook, because I was 11 years old, like I was a kid, but it was because my brain operates well in that. Like the prescription, like, tell me what to do. Okay, I'm gonna do it just the way you tell me to do it. But it's like, to do all of that and to know, well, was I really off my cycle when I prayed? Did
I wash myself properly when I got off my cycle?
Did I walk out the bathroom with my right foot?
Yes, or my left foot, right.
And like you said, and then you never really, like, that was the difference between Islam and Christianity for me. It's like, when you said that connection to God, it's like, in Christianity we talk about that you actually communicate with God. It's not just, I'm creating this obligatory prayer.
Yes, yeah.
No. It's really for me to say something to Him, and He hears me.
Yeah.
So that for me. So one, it was like, to do all these things and not know what I'm drinking in heaven, and then the other thing was, I kept saying to myself, well, Muslims don't worship the Prophet Muhammad, and because people think that about Muslims, and I know that that's not that true. But I also said, but every time I pray, I say something about the Prophet Muhammad.
Every time.
So I'm like,
in order to take this shahada, I have to acknowledge him.
So I'm like,
it feels like it. It feels so. From that conversation, I thought about all of the things that you're saying, and I wrote it down that these are the things that I know did not feel right, and from it, I don't have to accept, follow, or mimic a man to be in communication with my creator. And that was what, like, how so many Muslims are trying to be Prophet Muhammad with what they're doing. With
but it's not just Muslims. It's even Christians.
It's not just
I think about the I guess Catholicism and how like you got to confess your sins to a man in order to be accepted by God. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute now.
It does not make sense to me. And then what I got from Islam and Christianity, but mainly Islam, was that you had to check these boxes for your creator to even look at you. And but if you didn't, like, it personified my creator too much gave him the qualities that made it look like really a mean person. Distant. Yeah, and distant too. That if you don't do I gave you something, and if you don't say thank you, I'm gonna take it back. I won't never give you nothing again. And I felt like that is a person. That's a mean person. Why would I?
Yeah, and God wouldn't do that. God is not on the level of human beings. But dang, I just forgot it. But yeah, keep going. You said my creator wouldn't do that.
And that I had to check certain boxes, and
that's what it was. Heart condition. Like, I had this brief conversation with Khalil, and I was like, you're recording it. But I was saying to him, I was like, you're doing it, but it's not in your heart. So what? So no. You're doing it, but it's not in your heart. So why are you doing it? Meaning, like, there's no. It's like somebody saying, like, it's like here goes some flowers because I'm supposed to give you flowers here.
Yeah.
Like, that's not. It's not a heart condition. I even said that with Judaism, like how some people would like go out in the streets and like they would pretend. They're not pretending. They did it for public view, for public consumption. I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna, like, you can see that I'm fasting, and because I want you to see how much of a good Jew I am or how much of a good Muslim I am. But like in my mind, again, this is another reason why I chose Christianity, and it has so many people who have made it flawed. I'm about to say that there's so many people who made it flawed. Was that it's like, no, you do it because it's in your heart. You know what I mean? Like, anybody can go to church every Sunday, and also, but who you fooling when you're nasty to everybody else around you?
And you're not doing it because on the day, and what Islam shows is that I can't, like, when the woman, she was talking about fasting, like, she was explaining it to her friend how it works, how she can't fast when she's on her period, and she has to make up those days at the end of her fast. And I had qualms with this, like with fasting. I told, like, I've only been able to fast just a few Ramadans, because at one point I kept getting sick. Each Ramadan, I would get some sickness, and then sometimes I ended up in the emergency room because I was dehydrated, and then when I had IBS. Fasting was worse because if I went too long without eating, when I did, my stomach acted crazy. Yeah.
And then not eating already causes.
Oh, right. It was like, talk about horrible. Like, and it bloating. Like, it was just so uncomfortable. But what she said, how it would not be accepted. And that was the big thing, the big message that I kept getting from Islam, is that your prayers will only be accepted if it's done in this way. And this man told me, like, when I was, during one Ramadan, I was going to the masjid taking classes, he told me how you can ask Allah for forgiveness for a specific sin, and then on the day of judgment, if you didn't make a certain prayer for forgiveness for that sin, then you would not be forgiven for that sin. It's called tauba or something. It's a certain way you have to make your salat, certain things you got to say during it. And if you didn't make that, then you are still not forgiven for that sin. If you were on your cycle and you didn't make ghusl right, you didn't bathe yourself right, all of your prayers have not been accepted. And then I looked on this show. It's a funny scene where this boy was making wudu, and this man sees him, and he's like, you need to wash between your toes. You need to do that again. And he's like, I'm sure that Allah doesn't care if... Oh, fireworks.
Oh, okay. It sounds like plastic rustling.
But he was like Shaitan will be in between every crevice and stuff. Like, if you don't clean it everywhere, that the water doesn't touch it.
You better burn them sheets,
Shaitan is there. And it is how it is.
But honestly, and this is, I don't think I've ever shared this with anybody out loud, but that, like, I think my relationship with God was largely based upon my belief in the authorities I had. Meaning, like, the relationship I had with authorities with my mom, with dad.
It was reflective in that relationship too.
With my now ex. Like, I really thought that's how God saw me.
The way they saw you. Oh, whoa.
Deep stuff.
Ooh,
That's some.
that in
That's some.
itself,
That's some.
to let
That's
a
some.
person's opinion of you.
And so until I was able to have that connection, like it took me. Like I remember one time I was in church and I cried and I was just like, how am I in a relationship and I'm not? I want to be loved. Like I want to be loved and I want to be in love. And I can remember just crying out to God and God saying, just fall in love with me. And it never occurred to me because in those significant relationships, there were contingencies based upon if you did this, this, and that, then I could.
Yeah, and that's the same thing you were taught. See,
or there were assumptions based on your behavior.
That's
Or
what I
knew
mean by
what you,
personification.
I knew what you really meant by that, and you didn't. And so that's really what I thought God.
Oh, for real.
That's what I really thought God was thinking of me. And then it occurred to me, like, nah, wait a minute. If nobody else loves me unconditionally,
Right.
if Olivia's like, you know what, I don't like you anymore. Okay, but I have my Savior. I guess that's another reason why, like, I couldn't go back to Islam because there was no connection to this is a loving God. Like,
Yeah,
he
what they
loves you.
and then I mentioned before, my experience reading the Quran, was so much punishment. I remember when one Ramadan, the first Ramadan, I was like, I'm gonna be a good Muslim. I'm gonna read the Quran. I read it one night and it made me cry. I was so scared. And then I used to have nightmares like about the Day of Judgment.
But you were really young when you introduced Islam, though.
Let Halim tell you some of the things that I told him that I was afraid of, and he was like, "I'm so sorry that somebody taught you that."
Yeah, but you were really young though.
Yeah,
like
yes.
a crazy impression. Like you were like younger than Olivia.
And man, talk about like I was afraid to. Mom had to tell me not to be afraid of what our Arabic teacher told us. He told me that if I slept on my stomach, that jinns would crawl up my butt when I was asleep. So you had to sleep
again,
on your
another
side.
contingency.
And Mom said, okay,
my God,
so if you sleep on your side,
unconscious.
then one is gonna get in your ear. If you sleep on your back, then one's gonna get up your nose. It don't matter how you sleep. I was like, okay, Ma, you're right. Let me not freak out.
But it's sad because that means you really had a heart for it. You know,
It really does.
For it.
And so the last point that I didn't tell you that I said to her from that when I told her that that I didn't have that you don't have to meet criteria to talk to your creator because your creator is within you.
Yeah.
And I said because you were created by
just
a divine
like a mother
creator.
and a child, or what you were.
Yes,
like,
just
there,
like
there are pieces of who I am.
Yes,
in you.
yes, and that is I swear that is something that I learned. And felt it truly when I let go of trying to fit into what definitions Christianity and Islam gave me of what my creator was. When I stepped back from checking those boxes, then then I understood what my creator was saying, that talking to my creator is like talking to myself, because that is what talking to the creator is, because I was created by the divine. I have parts of the divine within me. So if I'm talking, that's who I'm talking to. And so the big things that I got from it was that one, and then like what made me not choose Christianity or not choose Islam and during grad school I was really, really depressed. And then I started going to church, but then it was I didn't feel right feeling like I was worshiping Jesus. And then it was a passage that I read in the Bible when Jesus was getting ready for his crucifixion. He like went up to a mountaintop and prayed, and I was like, well, if Jesus praying, like he's praying to God, let me just follow exactly what Jesus did, and just like pray
you can't
to
go
God.
wrong. You can't go wrong. Follow his example.
So let's just pray right to God.
I wish there was more Christians that did that. Just follow his example. Follow his example. But that's another conversation.
It is so. I do think that it was powerful to be exposed to Islam and Christianity and how it's shaped who I am. But it definitely confused. I was
gonna say, and you know what? During it, I felt like it might be because I became a parent, but I really feel like I don't think it was confusing to me until I got married and I chose to marry someone outside of my faith. So then that was already a rub. No matter what faith you are, like if you are a Christian and you marry someone who doesn't have faith, if you're Muslim, like because it's so much fundamental as to who you are, But I realized, okay, that confusion really wasn't from me. That was some decisions my parents made.
No, see,
and giving them grace. Meaning like I guess. Let me be clear, like, because I'm choosing to raise Olivia Christian, right? But what I'm really trying to be very careful about is if she asks me a question about Islam, I'm going to answer the question. You know, like you can make
Some
somebody.
people try to protect you from like, oh no, we don't need to know about those things because that's not what we believe. But you actually do need to know about them things because you're going to be exposed to them. And
Because,
if I don't
but
tell
the other
you,
thing is, I was gonna say, but the other thing is, I feel like those things bolster what I believe.
what's bolster mean? I know
Like
that word.
it support
Support,
or
right?
like, or increase my connection to what I believe. You know, like yeah, I can talk about this. I can talk about Islam all day, every day, and like I can tell you about what I learned in it, yada yada yada. But I do think it would have been a lot smoother if I was just in one faith. I do feel like I just feel like my life. Even if I had just decided, even if I was Muslim from the day I was born until I was,
you still would be Christian today. Even
Probably.
if, no, I'm saying it like
yeah. But what I'm saying is, it would have been a lot less, because the thing is, as much as people say Islam is a religion of peace, and it's like it can be at peace and harmony with other faiths. The Quran clearly states like it's some specific things you're not supposed to do. Like you're not supposed to go into a church. And or like when you go to the grave, you're not
supposed to pray for people that you're not even supposed to.
So or when you go to the grave, he's going to ask. There's someone in there to ask you 3 questions, and it's based on, do you know whether or not did you know Islam? Did you practice Islam? So like,
and then like I was telling Halim about like what my thoughts are on about being cremated versus buried. And I said,
Muslims don't believe in that.
I settled on cremation not for a religious reason. I wanted to burial rites are very closely related to what happens to you in the afterlife. In Islam, and I believe in Christianity too. Just I don't know.
Not as much as anymore. They're not as much as anymore. So, but Islam and Judaism,
because
they're very specific. They're specific,
except
like, but Judaism, they're specific to the point where like you're supposed to like drill holes in the casket to expedite the decomposition process. And, Muslims are in a shroud, but I don't think that there's anything that's like uniquely Christian in terms of putting your body in the ground. You know what I mean?
And then I don't know if the reason I say cremation because one, I don't like the idea of what can happen with the grave as earth changes, as construction is done, water levels changing, time goes on. They dig up mummies and stuff. I don't want somebody digging up my bones years and years later.
I don't think I would consider that.
Somebody like doing something with like a conversation I had with Ashley was about like how they were burying people in Louisiana and New Orleans, and how she's had experiences where she know that people have been buried and they dug them up and moved their body and stuff like that because of
sea level
and sea level, all like
because it was a lot that happened there during Katrina.
Yeah, so I don't want to be buried and then somebody find me later.
But I can see, but you know what?
Study me
and maybe
later.
I am speaking from a Christian perspective in that I can see people doing whatever they want to do with their body because Christianity says you're not in there anyway.
And then so that's what
so like for me, I know I don't know how it might be more popular by the time God don't take me anytime soon, but like I know I want to have the most natural burials possible. Like there's certain natural graveyard or natural cemeteries where like either you're put in a wicker basket that breaks down, or you're similar to Muslims, you're put in a shroud
and just put right into the earth.
And it is because I feel like I don't want my death to cause death.
Right.
Like you had to dig up the ground, you had to put cement in the ground. Like how many living things could have grown in that space? But because I died, everybody gotta go.
Right.
You know,
I'm not about to pay for no casket that's thousands of dollars.
But now I don't mind them doing a loner if that's what they want to do. Okay.
Who's they?
Meaning like whoever is around to honor my life after I go. You know what I mean? Because I can write all this up I want to, but I don't know that any lawyer is gonna make them do what I say.
I think that is the most important things. Like whatever a person say they want done after their death should be done. I felt like that is a contract.
But so many people think it's about them. Like it's about it's about
I know they think
the mourner, and it's not about the mourner because like honestly like you don't know how many people can be healed or learn how to grieve properly because you adhere to what that person did. Can you imagine like going to somebody's funeral like you said you want where your ashes are spread? Can you imagine like the people who are participating in that, like how beautiful it is for them to let that grief literally see the grief go, or like for me, like I wanted this space where you don't have to necessarily put a headstone, but to know that there's flowers growing here because my mom lived. and her death caused life.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
so,
what, because that is the purpose of life, of life and of death, is to support more life. But you said something that was so profound that made me think about it. Like, that was one of the reasons why I wasn't sure if I wanted to be buried or not. What happens to your soul when you die? So in Islam, it say that your soul stays near your body. So even when your body is in the grave, like, you are feeling being in the grave.
Yeah, and it gets
that's
tighter.
That's why you have to read the Quran to give you more space and light in your grave.
And then that's why you're supposed to walk away from the grave lightly, because they can hear you walking away.
Yeah, so it's souls in the ground. So and then so if you're cremated, you feel it.
Yeah.
And so I'm now in this, like, Halim has been there with me as I have been learning more and about what I believe in, and how I've stepped away from checking all those boxes, the dogmatic things of it, and just and he was saying how, like, that he like, I'm sorry to, like, this is like what you really are thinking about, because I don't believe those things, but they are still there making me think, but what if it's true?
Yeah, because we learned them when we were young.
Yeah.
We learned them from someone who, like, as a child, if you learn from somebody who you trust.
Yeah, you believe it. For
yeah,
sure.
right.
I remember my mom told me, and it still be in my mind.
Right. And so, and even as an adult, like, I dealt with this. I had this conversation with somebody who I thought was going to be a significant part of my life. And, like, I remember saying, am I not Christian enough for you? Like it's because, like, we learn these things that say that you're Christian enough, that you're Muslim enough. Like, even how we wear our hijab. Like, okay, if you didn't have one, like, if it wasn't complete, then you're not really a good Muslim.
It's too particular.
I can see this part of your arm. You're not Muslim enough.
Right, well, how we had to wear, like, our sleeves had to be loose and to the elbow. And
some of that stuff is still, now that I'm a parent, I'm realizing seeps in for me. Like, when I tell them to pull her shirt down, because I just remember, our shirts had to be long enough. But I think it's because a lot of times adults don't tell you why you're doing it. And so, like,
sometimes they don't know why. I'm noticing
right.
too.
They might not know why, which is a whole nother conversation, because why are you doing it?
Right.
But like, when you don't tell a child the thought process behind it, it makes it that much harder for them to break away from it if that thought process doesn't serve them anymore.
The only, like, the most profound lesson that I learned from on spirituality was Dad. Taught me it, and it was all of it. Well, actually, the most profound ones have come from him, because he has not been particularly religious, and because all of the things that I was struggling with checking those boxes, he kept saying the same thing. It only matters what's in your heart. It only matters what's in your heart.
But Islam doesn't say that.
It doesn't say. But he said he had to come to that conclusion on his own. But it was one day Miss Reba made little angels for us. It was a little box, and I thought that, well, this is an angel. If I pray to the angel will hear it and tell God. So
how old were you?
I had to been 8.
Okay.
Because that's when they were married. Khalil was born when I was 7, and I was like 8 or 9, and I put the box down on the ground, and I was like bowing down to it. I had my head down, and Dad came in right as I was leaning up, and it was down on the floor. And he was like, "What are you doing?" And I told him, and he was like, "No." He was like, "You don't need to talk to that angel."
How loving was that?
He was like, anything that you say, God's going to hear you. And I was like,
oh my God,
okay.
That's such a beautiful gift.
So now I put it on the shelf. And I remember that day so clearly, because that was like a huge lesson that I did not need to talk to anybody else
to communicate
with God. And then when I was in Morocco, the big thing that I was struggling with was feeling like, why am I making salat? Why do I have to go through this ritual to pray? And I don't think that I'm getting anything out of bowing my head down over and over again. I don't think that that's a necessity to pray. And I think that it made it made me feel like I had to say certain things. I had to have a script. I had to know what I was going to say to talk to my creator. And it made me just not want to do it. And then Halim and Monique, we were living with Monique. She was our roommate. She was teaching at the language center too. Both of them had the same perspective that you talk to God. A conversation. Like Monique is like, okay, so God, that one, we saw that. Like, so she would have conversations, and Halim was telling me about his conversation.
But that's because that's not taught in Islam though. Islam is very. The thing is, I feel like rituals have their places. I feel like they make things holy and make them special.
They're supposed to get your mind in. You get you in the right mindset. But you don't always have to
because there's
do
even
that.
Rituals that we do that aren't necessarily faith based. Like people say, your morning routine or your evening routine. Those are rituals that tell your brain, okay, we're shifting gears. Or birthday parties. Those are rituals that you know. But that's because there's heart behind them. You know, like I think that's for me. Like I can't see myself doing it and not having heart behind. Like you know. But honestly, I think that that's what had me a little bit still distant from God when I transitioned to Christianity, was because the rituals I learned from Islam what was guiding me in Christianity. Like, okay, it had to be done every Sunday, every Tuesday,
so
because I was so accustomed to
the same
regimen
like
this.
Of it.
Then I was like, wait a minute, but you're still mean and you're Christian. Wait a minute, you still gossip about people, and that's what a lot of people leave faith because they see those types of behaviors, and unless you decide. Like, or at least unless you have some type of encounter that changes your heart and your mind.
But see, lately I have been thinking more about why am I doing certain things? Why do I have to do certain things? And then when I was in Morocco to see how all of the things that we learned, like saying alhamdulillah, saying inshallah, are so ingrained in the language that anytime you're speaking in future tense, you're saying inshallah. Anytime somebody asks you, anytime you ask somebody how they're doing, they're saying alhamdulillah. They're not telling you that they having a good day. They're praising God for it as if it is obligatory. And
because I'm grateful for it if it's like from a place of, you know,
but I don't understand it being obligatory. That this adds to your blessings. It's always a tally mark that if you say remember the dhikr that you have to make dhikr, and then that adds to your tally mark.
You never know if you're gonna get in heaven.
You don't
never
know
if God is pleased with you. You never you can't talk to him so if you're on your period and you're going through something distraught, like you can't talk to God right now.
Yes, you can. You can make little prayers. You can say small prayers, but if you need something big, just wait.
Right.
Wait until you clean because you dirty, and then that in and of itself is patriarchal.
And how is it me being intimate with my husband
makes me unclean,
or makes it so that I can't be intimate with my Creator?
Right. I don't understand. I don't agree with that. But what made I still say Bismillah before I put food in my mouth. I'm noticing what things I really am still trained to do. And I still, when I lay down, lately it's been, it has recently, within like the last month or so, gone away, but I would say my prayers when I was in the bed. But it was not like just assessing the day, feeling gratitude, like, oh, I just had a good day, like, oh, let me make sure I say thank you at the end of the day, because if not, then I don't feel like I did what I was supposed to do. I'm supposed to say thank you. Like, if somebody give you a piece of paper, it's polite to say thank you, or they never gonna give you something.
What kind of parents is that?
I don't know if that's something that, I don't think that that's something that I was taught from mom or dad.
No.
I think that they both told me to say your prayers at night. That was like a practice.
No. But I guess I'm saying, what kind of parent gives their child something and says, if you don't say thank you, I'm not gonna give you anything else?
Right.
So I guess, and again, I am looking at it from a Christian perspective. So I am being a bit biased, but that's because Christians think that God is our Father, and that relationship is really to show about like how a parent wants to give you the best of things. Now, how much more than the Creator who created that parent who wants to give you something? But
right.
He created them, so he's going to want to give you even more.
But even if a parent not even going to do that, a parent's not going to say, "I'm not
a good one."
A good parent, right? A good parent is not going to stop feeding you because you didn't say thank you for that food. And then I kept thinking too, is it necessary for me to say Inshallah all the time if I already know that all my things come from my creator? Like, do I have to always verbally say it in order for my creator to know that I'm acknowledging that I know that my things did not just materialize out of nowhere?
I think for some people, if it's really a heart condition, you can tell by it. Like, I have a good friend, whoever she says, well, next week, putting God in front of me, I'll do this.
Oh, now you can tell when people are doing it for the right reasons.
But when you say it, like, again, like, it loses its meaning.
Babe, it does.
Babe, I love you. Babe, I love you. Like, no, you just say that because you think you're going to get something from me. Then what kind of person are you that you're doing it because you think that you know what I mean? Like, then I put you in this ugly position. I'm only doing this because I think I'm going to get something out of it.
But it does, like, explain why a lot of Moroccans was acting like, I'm not going to do this for you unless you do something for me. Because that's exactly what they believe their creators want to do, like, tit for tat.
Again, it goes back to me thinking the relationship I have with God was based on the three.
But that's why it made me think more about how religion has been used to control people.
Of course.
Because people do, like, the way they treat people is the way that they think about their creator.
Women.
Yes, like with how you can't pray on your period.
All of the major faiths,
And you should see how what those women got to go through to go into a masjid. Like, I had to help this old lady up these enormous amounts of stairs because that's where the women had to pray. And this old lady is making her way into this masjid like. And I'm thinking, let this lady pray downstairs. I was gonna say, she cannot make it up these stairs.
Like, man, we just gonna hold hands right here,
and we gotta go upstairs.
Right okay, because I'm gonna go ahead and pray for you. You stay right where you at, okay? Like.
But then, like, for Ramadan, that was like the big thing. The first Ramadan that we had when we were in Morocco, Halim fasted. He tried to fast through. I think he got through most of it, but. The big thing, like, I kept thinking, you're supposed to pay zakat, like it was
charity.
I can't remember what's the name of the zakat, but remember you're supposed to get like the equivalent of $20 for each person that's in your household. That's like the equivalent of it. And if you don't pay that zakat, your fast is not accepted. And I kept thinking, I can't get to, I don't know where I'm supposed to, right, I don't know where I'm supposed to go to pay this because I'm in another country. So if I don't pay it,
you mean all these 30 days?
So all these 30 days, my creator going to be like, nah, bruh. Sorry, I don't know what to tell you.
You didn't hear the press in your heart?
No, don't know what to tell you.
Or did you do it again? Like, oh yeah, so, I paid my zakat. You ain't paid
right, it just makes it just gives me this idea of my creator as somebody who's like at the DMV. Well, I mean, the deadline was yesterday. I don't know what you want me to do. It was yesterday. It was yesterday. You just got to go back and you don't have all your paperwork. I don't know what to tell you. You signed in black
ink instead of blue ink.
Right. And it's like, you really going to be that nitpicky? Really? And I refuse to believe that my creator is like all these other people I can't stand.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, honestly, and that.
Well, I'm glad that we discussed this.
Yeah, come on.
Nope, she left.
Come on down.
She gone.
Come on down.